First book haul of 2026. I found quite a few books I'm really excited about. It's a mix of used and new as always, and we're gonna get into it because there's a lot. I found a lot of nonfiction. I'm on a kick, but let's start with some fiction ones to balance things out. The first one I got is this one called Night Will Find You. I really want to read more mystery thrillers, but I find it really hard to pick some when I'm used book shopping because those sections are really overwhelming. I feel like most of the books that I find are in these categories, and I don't recognize that many authors, only the ones that I don't want to read more from. So if you have any recommendations, definitely let me know. But I picked up this one because it seems to be like a detective story, but the main character is a psychic. So when she was young, she saved his life, and then he's struggling to figure out what happened in a cold case with a girl that disappeared, and he goes to her to get some help. So I decided to give this one a shot. If you have read it, definitely let me know. Sometimes when you use Bookshop, the stores have like the worst Wi-Fi connection, so it's hard to check the reviews online, but the ones I saw looked okay. I have seen this book so many times. Sometimes that's what I do. I keep seeing it, and eventually I just crack and I get it, and I will stop seeing it everywhere. This is Claire in the Sun. I've been wanting to read books by this author. I think I have like 2 other ones on my shelves, and I have yet to pick them up, but I cracked. It's kind of sci-fi. This one is like, isn't it AI friend? Yeah, Claire is an artificial friend, and she's warned not to invest too much in the promises of humans, so we'll see what happens with this one, but I just needed to get it so I can stop seeing it everywhere. I feel like I've heard mixed reviews, but I've been told that his writing is really great, so I wanted to try it. And then this one, I'm really excited for it. I don't read a ton of historical fiction, but I have read another one by this author, so I wanted to read more. This one is The Underground Railroad. I have seen it absolutely everywhere a couple years ago, but like I said, I don't read a ton of historical fiction, so I never picked it up, but now I own it, and it feels like the right time to read it, so pick that one up. Next, okay, let me just... I have found my new favorite thing probably ever. It's called A Very Short Introduction Collection. They're basically paying experts in a field to write a book summarizing that field in less than 200 pages. So they're all like 100, 150 pages, and they're probably not dumbed down either. So they can still be a little challenging, but it's such a fun way to learn a lot about a topic from an expert and deciding if you want to continue reading about it. I didn't know that existed, and now I want all of them, which that might be a challenge because one of them says 544, so it means there are at least 544. But you can find a topic you're really into and try it and see that's something you want to continue learning about. So I picked this one up, social and cultural anthropology. And I also got psychology, which these 2 topics are things that I see often online if you want to continue learning. Because again, it is one of my challenges this year. I want to learn stuff more. And universities like Harvard, Yale, they offer free classes online. I feel like these are topics that I see often there, but I got these 2 to sample it. I also got mathematics, which is probably not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but that's okay. I got one about climate change because I want to learn about this topic, and it's kind of terrifying, so why not listen to an expert? And it's like 2021, so like, I don't know if they keep updating them, but it's definitely still relevant. I got one about the periodic table. I got one about the plague, which works with the nonfiction I just finished, so need to read that. Also got one about pandemics, which I know is too early for most of us, but it's not the only pandemic, 2024. So it was republished because they say 2016 and 2024. They had to update. Fine. So yeah, I got one about consciousness because that was one of the only one that had a female author. That was at a used bookshop. And again, they had more, but I thought I shouldn't get all of them because what if they're terrible? But I've looked at the reviews and they're not terrible. So I kind of want to go back and get everything. But anyway, I tried to be reasonable and get the ones I wanted to read. But yeah, consciousness. And finally, the immune system. So not only are they adorable, colorful, actually might fit at the top of my bookshelves. I have this like tiny shelf that there's no space for anything. These might fit there, and I can just hoard all 544 of them and learn things. Like in the beginning, they put all the topics that are available. So like you can learn whatever you want. So many options. This is not sponsored, but if they want to send me all of them, yes, please. So that's so fun. I feel like if I had had that as a kid, I would have been so happy. Anyway, let's go back to the rest of the content. I did get one more fiction book, The Prince by Machiavelli, which is the favorite book of all the worst people you've ever met. It's a classic, though, and it's based on, yes, it's based on its first-hand experience in Europe. It's about how to seize power, retain it, and, you know, all the power-hungry people love this story. So I wanted to read it, not to seize power, but to know what these people are reading. Honestly, it's important to know what these people are reading, okay? So I wanted to read this. It's probably going to be like sitting next to my 48 Laws of Power. Out of reach from Claudia. Can you imagine? We would all die. So that's that. I also got How DNA Testing is Upending Who We Are. I feel like it's a very interesting topic once again. Although I was trying to look their review, I think the author does, she's a journalist, so she must acknowledge that it's kind of dangerous with the people that own these. Again, every time we discover something really life-changing, it feels like the worst people get their hands on it and then decide the worst way they can make money out of it. But has broken families and revealed a ton of secrets, which I think there's a specific case in this one that they're going through in the book. I've never done one because, again, they sell your data or they have, you know, leaks and everything. Plus, let's be honest, it would be the most boring. Like 100% French baguette. No surprise there. Although, on my dad's side, I'm apparently the first daughter in like 7 or 8 generations, which, okay. But a lot of them were single son. Which, like, everyone else is having 10 plus kids and you're having one son. That is just so suspicious. Anyway, I'll never know because I'm not doing it. But some have, and I'm going to read a book on the topic. Hopefully it's good. It sounded good. I also got The Living Medicine, How a Life-Saving Cure Was Nearly Lost and Why It Will Rescue Us When Antibiotic Fails. Super long title. We all know antibiotics are fantastic. It's nice to not die from a scratch randomly. Cool. However, some of you, not you, right? You don't finish your antibiotics because you start feeling better, which is the reason we will all die one day. Super bacteria is just being resistant to antibiotics more and more. Isn't it super syphilis or super gonorrhea? I never remember which one it is, but please get tested, wear a condom, finish your antibiotics, because we do have bacteriophages. There you go. I knew that we had that as a backup option whenever, again, everything is too resistant to work, but I didn't know that we had almost lost it. So I wanted to learn about this. And when I got home from finding this, I decided to find a book about something that is terrifying to me, and that is prion diseases. So The Power of Prions, the strange and essential protein that can cause Alzheimer, Parkinson, and other diseases like mad cow or like CGD, which I feel like I've heard a lot of people having CGD lately. More and more cases, I mean, hunters, wasting disease in deers. And isn't there like a cluster in, is it New Brunswick? I feel like we're going to learn in a couple of years that it was the Irvings, like everything else. But yeah, this is terrifying to me, like literally nightmare-inducing, because we literally can't do anything. Like it can be dormant for years in your body, and then it starts, and within weeks you're dead, and we can't do anything. So that is why I find it terrifying, and I wanted to read about it. I feel like this book, tiny, tiny little book, purple, super cute, does not do it justice, but cute vibes, but no. I also got Indigenous Rights, a guide to First Nation, Métis, and Inuit issues in Canada. I don't know if this is a textbook. It kind of looks like one. This is what I'm saying. I'm currently in my nonfiction phase. I want to read actual textbooks. Like, I wish they were not so expensive. Like, I don't want to spend $300 because I want to try a topic, which is why I was super excited about the tiny little introduction ones. But I feel like in Canada, we do not learn anything about Indigenous people. Like, we don't. And I wanted to fix that. It sounded like this book would answer a lot of questions and I would learn a lot. It would be a good introduction because they talk about like myths, about the cultured identity, state violence, land learning laws, treaties. So I'll read this. Let me know if you have any recommendations. I do have some on my waiting list at the library, but I feel like nonfiction, I'll tolerate them as audiobooks. Sometimes it is the best way to go through them. Just listen to them. Like the tone is like lighter or fun. They're great. But I don't like them as ebooks. Like I need to just hold them in my arms. Like if I could always have the physical book, it would always be my first option for most books. But I can't do nonfiction as ebooks. Anyway, I also got this one called Disability Visibility, First-Person Stories from the 21st Century. Again, own voice. Own voice. Books in general, always the best. But yes, this one is written, is it 20 stories? Am I imagining this? No, it's more than 20. But yeah, basically 1 in 5 people in the US is disabled or lives with a disability. I feel like a lot of people think or don't think about disability. They don't think it can happen to them, but like one accident, one bad cold could disable you. Like, we just try to avoid it. Or we don't even think like wearing glasses is technically a disability, but we just don't think about it that way. Like, we detach ourselves from it. Anyway, I thought I would learn more about the topic. And again, what better way to do that than own voices? And this one sounded like a crazy story. I've been wanting to read something from this author for a while, but I can't find them anywhere. And my library only has the ebooks. And I just said how much I cannot stand nonfiction as ebooks. But in this one, it's like, what happened to her was, I don't know if I have, no, there's no, oh, okay, there you go. So basically, she is a well-known activist and writer, and one day someone with the same name started posting content that is like completely the opposite on the moral spectrum from her, which, that sounds really crazy. Can you imagine if there's another like Emily Fox that starts posting video, we look really similar, and we have very different views? That is terrifying. Although with AI, it feels possible soon enough. I feel like people are having already issues with that. Like, that is crazy. Anyway, at least you know I'm a real person because I've been on here for longer than the AI people will be. Anyway, if you have a good book on the topic, let me know, because I've been trying to find some on these topics. I don't know if AI is just too recent. I've seen like documentaries or interviews that journalists are doing with people living in towns where these like data centers will appear, and how, you know, the pollution, the sound, everything's affecting them, the water. And I feel like the few books that I've seen on the topic either don't address that, or like the authors are just so up. And I don't want to read about that. Like, I want to read the actual consequences and the harm it will cause human and the environment. Like, that's what interests me. Like, I don't want to read about, like, it's just not interesting to me. So sometimes I am filming and I feel bad for future Emily that will have to edit everything I say. Sometimes I just delete sections because I just yap and yap and yap, but I think I'm going to keep that. You're just going to have fun editing those portions so the video doesn't get flagged. But yeah, I want to read more from this author, but this is literally the only book I have found from her that was in a used bookstore. So I'm keeping an eye out. I've heard good things about, is it The Shock Doctrine by her? But yeah, one day I'll pick it up. So yeah, as you can see, I had a good haul. I don't think I'm gonna go outside for the next couple of months because it's now really, really cold outside. It took a while. This year was slow to start, but I'm not leaving my house for the next like 2-3 months. So if I buy more books, it's either there's been a really nice sunny day or I ordered online. I have one more. I almost forgot. I'm currently reading it. That's why. This is Caliban and the Witch, Women, the Body, and Primitive Accumulation. That's the one that the plague is related to. I'm not done with it. So, I've been wanting to read more like feminist books. This book called me dumb. Okay, that's what it did. That's why I've been saying I really want to start using my brain more, because when I do read a couple books that are a bit more like academic level, I struggle. Like, I used to have really bad brain fog. It's gone. But, you know, it's hard to boot things up again. I'm just so not used to it. So this has been a wake-up call for me. But it's really, really interesting. I feel like the title does not tell you much, but I really like how you're talking about, yes, the witch hunt. I feel like it's almost talked about like isolated. And I feel like I grew up hearing about, okay, witches being burned, they're not really witches. So it's like, it's religion and misogyny. And then only a couple years ago, I heard that, no, it's, well, yes, but also like power and money. And I feel like this book also situate in time why it happened. So we went from feudalism to capitalism, but there's a couple hundred years there where there was a lot of power imbalance because the plague killed 30-40% of people in Europe. The rich were not able to control the rest of the population because they needed them too much to do the work. So this power imbalance caught fights for hundreds of years, and one of the things it did to regain power was to put us against each other. And, you know, women being burned for being witches was part of that. So hopefully I kind of explained that correctly. But it's really, really interesting. But yeah, I have to be fully awake to read this. And I know I'm going to reread this because I want to get everything I can out of it. But right now I'm just not fully there. But I'm still going to finish it because I am enjoying it. But yeah, super interesting. And that's the reason I am looking for textbooks at the moment. If you have any recommendations, like places I can buy some. I know you can get some that are a little older, but you have to be careful. I feel like some of them, they're still perfectly relevant, but other ones, they're just not up to date. But yeah, that's my first book haul of 2026. A lot of nonfiction, but I've been reading a ton of them, like a ton of them. So I know I'm going to go through these. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these, please let me know so I can put them higher on my TBR and get to them as soon as possible. I would love to know also the books you've bought recently. What are you on a kick on? Nonfiction? Anything specific fiction-wise? And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be putting more on the screen that I recommend you check out. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.